care if you win an Academy Award or not. I mean, we're going to work. You're going to be great. I
Yeah.
care if I run into you on the street and I look in your eyes and I don't see the same kind, good person you were born in that I saw in my classes. If I don't see that person, I see someone that's holding a big award and just full of themselves, my heart will break. And I might punch you in the face, although I promise I've stopped doing that. But it's the most important thing in your life. No one goes on your deathbed to say, look at my awards, everybody. You say, who is it here that I love?
Yeah.
And it should be everybody, like Reese knows I'm very passionate. I'm not going to say political as much as I'm about kindness and human rights. And I won't go into that. That's a whole other side of me. But you know how my warm up for my acting classes right now is? I don't do acting warm-ups. Let's do relaxation. Let's do this. Because acting is about truth. It is not about faking anything. That's why it's so fun. It's dangerous. It's about truth. You don't want to fake it. We don't really kill people, but we do pretty much everything else. And this has to be true. And it can't be from here. It has to be like your guts, like, where you feel what's right and what's wrong. That's where acting comes from. My acting warm-up is, well, first I always say, like, so how are you doing today? And then if you say, like, well, I'm fine. They're like, what's going on? Because you're not. And then you start talking. And then I'll say, oh, my gosh, did you guys go protest this weekend? Because, this is about you guys. I don't care what you're protesting about, but you need to stand up. Did you vote? Don't bother coming to my class if you didn't vote. Hey, let's talk about what's going on in the world around us. You're sitting in my class. You are this certain person, and you're in a certain mood. And we bring stuff out in you, and then around you, there's all this other stuff going on, and you just got stuck at, Walmart in a line that was too long with a bunch of dumb people that drove you crazy that you figured out, but they had a cute kid, so I liked them anyway. This is what humans do. We aren't black and white. We're not perfect. You don't want to be perfect. I might have a big egotistical day, and Reese, I pray you go like, Cathryn, you're being kind of asshole today. And I go like, wow, Reese told me that? I must be. Thank you. Wow, I needed that then. Because we're humans. And humanity doesn't mean that you're perfect. It means that you keep trying to be a better human. And if you did something lousy, you don't spend the rest of your life kicking yourself. You go like, that was not good. I did not like that feeling. I have this moment. What am I doing right now that is going to be better because I learned that lesson? Life is a bunch of lessons, a bunch of, I think, spiritual lessons. I don't mean like religious. I mean like big. Like, am I being patient? Am I being, kind? You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that actually moves you forward.
Yeah, and I think that the heart of that is truth, right? Is a word that you kept using again and again. And that is what I think exactly what you said. Like acting, it's so funny that it's called acting when it is the most truthful thing I've ever done. Your class was the space that allowed me. I mean, you're the reason I ever experienced anger at all.
I remember that day was one of the greatest days of my life. And by the way, if you look up to act in the dictionary, it says to do something, not to fake. It says do something. This is why we call it what I do, even though it's loving. Sometimes you call it torture because you were working on a piece and you really needed to be angry and you couldn't. And I had not found a place that I couldn't easily get Reese cakes to go to and really get angry. I punched your buttons. I pushed you. I got in your face. I was cruel to you. I was horrible to you. Not as a really I want to hurt you, but as what we do as actors. I'm trying to push your buttons and cause some kind of a real reaction. And I'm like sweating over there. I'm like, what the? And all of a sudden, you burst out crying. And you cried forever. And all those years that you had not been able to cry because you didn't think that you had the right to, basically, is what I got from it. That you cried and that it was okay to be angry. It didn't mean you hated someone if you got angry at someone. It just meant you loved someone and you were mad at them right now. But
Right.
you still loved them.
the heart of anger is that love, right? And I think that it's having the safe space to do that that made it possible, right? It's like, I don't think that kind of breakthrough would have ever happened with anyone else because of the trust that I had in you and in our relationship, that it was, Miss Hart has taken me to all these places and shown me that I will always be okay. It's safe to come past the brink, right? It's like, you're there and then you will be okay. Even though you call it torturing, what it really is, it is love. It's pushing me to the point of, it's you saying, no, you deserve to take up this space time and time and time again, until it forces me to take up the space to be angry.
Well, and clarifying that too. And I was going to say, you don't just do this with anybody. And I actually do a lot of life coaching too, because as an actor, you have to let go of a lot of stuff and be able to go places that are scary for a lot of people, emotions you don't want to go back to. And so there's a lot of life coaching that you do as an acting coach to help people break through where they're stuck, where you didn't know you were stuck. I didn't know that I was stuck there. But sometimes I will let you go for months, and I will just let you not do anything. I had a little child one time, and I told her mother, she's not doing anything in my acting class. I just let her sit there and watch because it doesn't feel right. And then one time I brought her into one of the bigger kid classes, and she saw what everyone really did there, and she went, oh. And I said, oh, we're going to play hide and go seek, but you don't have to play. And we ran down the halls, and I made all this fun noise like we were having the best time in the world. And then she came and peeked around the corner, and I'm like, you want to play? And she said, no. And I said, it's okay. And then I put her back in her younger class. And that very first class, she got up and showed him everything she learned in the older class. And she just had the power to just do it. I would never try to make that child. I wouldn't drag that child. I wouldn't scare that child. You have to, acting and directing and all this stuff that we do is not really about forcing someone. If you force someone, they shut down. You never want to try and force someone to do something in anything in your life. They just won't listen to you, and you'll just hurt you or get mad at you or go away and never come back.
Right.
But what you do is you find the right button to push that is right. And so sometimes it's just gentle loving. I'll show you how to do it. Well, I'll do it first. I'll show you what it looks like. Well, it looks like I'm an idiot and I don't care. So you can be an idiot too. Now be a really big idiot.
Yeah.
Or I'll distract you. And I'll be like, okay, everybody, we're just running around the room. Okay, now then I said, by the way, I was filming that. Look how great you look. What? Yeah, that's what you look like when you aren't stuck in your head trying to make sure you look okay, which is what most people do. Right. And so you have to be free enough. So there's a lot of life coaching that goes into it. But you have to understand where myself as an acting coach, I work very intuitively a lot. And I use my sensitive stuff, to be able to feel where you are and what it feels like inside of you for me to decide if I'm gonna love you or go like, it's okay. Let's start with you today. Or if I'm going to get in your face and say, I will friggin' be scarier than anything that's scaring you right now. You better do it right now. I swear. And you go like, okay. And you do it. And then you go like, what does that feel like? And every time practically, it's like freedom. It feels like freedom. Because sometimes you need to I guess you call it tough love. Sometimes you need to scare someone so that they get out of the fire before it burns them up.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone's drowning. You need to knock them out so you can keep them from drowning. Sometimes I wouldn't really knock you out. I do threaten to cut your hands off every once in a while if you're doing hand acting. Other than that, I never really do it. But it's that. It's having that sensitivity. And that is one of the things that you have always had that I understood as an acting coach, as a life coach, and as a human being, that you have a sensitivity to other people, to feel the world around you, and to be great, but never feel like you're being great. To be powerful, but to not feel like I'm powerful. And so those do go hand in hand. What makes you really powerful is not when you tell everyone how powerful you are and how smart you are. I'm not naming names, and how you're the best at everything and you know better than everybody else. Blah, blah. I just sit there and go like, wow, how small is your little? Because really, you are the most insecure person I've ever seen in my life. No one who has power ever has to tell me you have power.
I want to tie back in what you were saying about the spirituality and how the power that you're talking about, that is kind of like this internal locus of control of knowing that power without having to lord it over anyone else, right? That's really where that, I think, truth stems from. Some of my favorite memories in your class, and the hardest days, are the ones that go there, right? And there is I have to share, I do have a tattoo of one of the things you said to me the first day you met me. And I don't know why I haven't shared this with you, but it says, when you look at the world, you see poetry. It's something you said to me on the very first day you met me. And I have it tattooed right here as my reminder to see poetry in everything, and to be the person that Miss Hart sees me as, right? But in this way, one of the lessons that you teach is about your personal power. And it's so juicy. It's such a good, juicy lesson, because it asks people to like really dig in. And it's hard when you're there because it's so vulnerable. But there is something deeply spiritual about it too. And I remember, being younger and kind of being raised in Texas, and it's like, well, yeah, I'd gone to church, but I'm spiritual. And then experiencing this class, and it's like, oh, this is what spirituality is. This is what connection to the divine feels like, I think, is when I remember my power. It's like, that's the spark of, God in the broadest sense of the word is.